Okay, imagine this. A small, really brazen group of hackers, for just like 50 days, they completely turned the cybersecurity world upside down,
Yeah, they really did.
forcing governments, corporations,
Yeah.
often kicking and screaming,
hmm
to finally take digital threats seriously.
And that's the story of Lulz Security, or LulzSec, that name.
Yeah,
So it says it all, really.
it does. LulzSec.
It's a portmanteau, right? Lulz, like laughing out loud, and security. So they were quite literally laughing at your security.
Which is such a provocative statement right from the get-go.
Absolutely. Bold.
They pop up in spring 2011, super skilled, very public black hat group. And initially, it seems like it was just purely for entertainment, exposing bad security for laughs.
That was the initial pitch, yeah.
Yeah.
For the lulz. But that motivation, it evolved pretty fast, actually.
Was it like a natural thing or more strategic?
I think it was a bit of both. It started with that anarchic humor, but it quickly blended with this growing political sort of hacktivist agenda.
Right.
And that all kind of culminated in Operation Anti-Security.
Okay, so that evolution is key. And that's really what we want to dig into today. We're doing a deep dive into the fascinating, pretty chaotic, and ultimately really short reign of LulzSec.
We'll unpack where they came from, the characters behind the keyboards.
Some very colorful characters.
Definitely. Explore that wild 50-day campaign, the sort of digital mayhem.
How they got caught, which is a story in itself.
Oh, absolutely. And then look at the legacy, because it's complex, kind of paradoxical, but it really did reshape the cybersecurity landscape we live in now.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Early 2011, the digital underground. Before LulzSec really burst onto the scene, the big name was Anonymous, right?
Yeah, Anonymous was the dominant, well, force isn't quite the right word. It was more amorphous. Known for internet pranks, trolling, a lot of it driven by that same idea, lulzes.
But Anonymous wasn't just pranks, was it? By 2010, they'd started shifting.
Exactly. They pivoted towards more political actions.
Yeah.
Operation Payback is the big example.
Against Visa, MasterCard, PayPal.
Right, for cutting off WikiLeaks. And that showed, maybe for the first time on that scale, that these online actions could have real-world bite, put real pressure on huge companies.
So Anonymous was kind of an idea, a franchise almost.
That's a good way to put it. An open-door policy, which created this mirage of power. Thousands might jump on a DDoS attack with simple tools like LOIC.
The low-orbit ion cannon. Sounds impressive.
It's basically a network stress testing tool, easy to use.
Mm-hmm.
But the really effective stuff, that usually came from a smaller, much more skilled core within Anonymous.
And that leads us to groups within Anonymous starting to form more defined cells.
Precisely. Like a group called Internet Feds. And this is crucial because it included future LulzSec members. Hector Monsegor, Sabu, Jake Davis, Topiary, Ryan Aykroyd, Kayla.
And their big moment before LulzSec even existed was the H.B. Gary hack in February 2011.
That was the defining moment, yeah. H.B. Gary and H.B. Gary federal cybersecurity firms.
And this was pure payback, wasn't it? Against the CEO, Aaron Barr.
Exactly. Barr had claimed he'd infiltrated Anonymous and was going to reveal names. So they hit back hard.
How'd they do it?
SQL injection vulnerability, classic method, but effective. They got in, stole tens of thousands of emails, defaced the websites, hijacked Barr's Twitter.
Total humiliation.
Complete public humiliation.
Yeah.
And the leaked emails. They exposed some really controversial stuff H.B. Gary was involved in, like proposals to sabotage WikiLeaks.
So that hack did a few things. Showed off their skills, their taste for high-impact breaches, and that use of public shaming.
Absolutely. It was a clear signal. A new kind of threat actor was emerging from the Anonymous chaos.
Okay, so Internet Feds gained notoriety from H.B. Gary, maybe some other attacks like on Fine Gael in Ireland. And then, May 2011, 6 core members decide to break off and form Lulz Security. LulzSec, this wasn't just putting a new label on the tin, was it? It felt deliberate, like branding.
Oh, it was absolutely strategic. Lulz Security, it was a mission statement. We are laughing at your security. It was provocative, memorable.
And they got the visuals too, right? The top hat, the monocle logo.
Yep. And the LulzBoat mascot, often done in ASCII art in their releases. It created an identity.
Plus the Twitter account, that became huge.
Massively important. At LulzSec, that was their mouthpiece. Announcing hacks, taunting victims, interacting directly with followers, building this narrative in real time.
It feels like a real step change from how Anonymous operated.
It was a definite shift, away from the decentralized, sometimes messy, anonymous structure, towards something more like a I don't know, a professionalized unit, a special operations team for hacking.
Concentrated skill, managed PR, aiming for maximum impact.
Exactly. They weren't just part of the noise anymore. They were the noise. They became the main story.
So let's meet the crew properly. The architects behind this digital mayhem. First up, gotta be Hector Sabu Montsegur, the Liam great.
Dan DeLeader, yeah. Undisputed. Sabu, he was 28, unemployed, living in the NYC projects.
And crucially, the sole legal guardian for his 2 young cousins. That detail becomes very important later.
It's extremely important. It was his Achilles heel. Background-wise, 9th grade education, history of hacking for profit before he got into the hacktivism side.
He had the final say on targets, described as a skilled hacker, a rooter.
Yeah, a rooter, someone good at finding those deep system vulnerabilities, skilled in Python. And he had this public persona, charismatic, often pretty brash online.
Okay. Then there's Jake Topiary Davis.
Topiary, the voice. British teenager, just 18, living way up in the Shetland Islands on Yale.
Not the main tech guy, but the PR mastermind.
Pretty much. Ran the @LulzSec Twitter, wrote those incredibly witty, sarcastic press releases, did interviews. He'd already made a name for himself before LulzSec, actually.
Oh, yeah. How?
Hacking the Westboro Baptist Church website.
Yeah.
During a live interview about them.
Wow. Bold?
Very. And after LulzSec ended, he deleted all his tweets except that one line. You cannot arrest an idea.
Chilling. Almost. Okay, who else was key?
Ryan Kayla Ackroyd, this is fascinating, 24, from South Yorkshire in England, former British Army soldier, served in Iraq.
And he was one of the main technical powerhouses.
Absolutely. Alongside Sabu, Kayla was responsible for a lot of the actual hacking, the penetration work. Prosecutors literally called him the hacker, so to speak. He was critical
He operated under the persona
of a 16-year-old girl named Kayla.
Yeah.
Total deception.
And he was involved in the big ones, HB Gary, Fox, Sony, PBS.
Key player on all of those and more. Plus, he operated a massive botnet, around 800,000 infected machines.
800,000, wow. And that was used for the DDoS attacks, like the one on the CIA.
Exactly. That botnet was his weapon for the distributed denial of service attacks. You know, DDoS attack basically used this network of hijacked computers bots to just flood a target server with so much traffic.
That legitimate users can't get through, takes the site offline.
Right. It's disruptive, highly visible, gets headlines, which fit LulzSec's goals perfectly. Even if some hardcore hackers look down on DDoS as, not real hacking, it's certainly effective for making noise. And very illegal now, of course.
Okay, so Samu, Topiary, Kayla, the core trio. But there were others involved too.
Definitely a supporting cast. Mustafa Al-Bassem, T-Flow, just 16, Iraqi-British student, co-founder, handled web development, kept their own site secure.
Darren Martin, Pune Sauce, an Irish student, core member.
And ironically, before his arrest, he was a local chapter leader for OWASP.
The Open Web Application Security Project, focused on improving security.
Very same, yeah. The irony is thick there.
Who else?
Dancha Searbale, Palladium, another Irish student, 19, hacked Fine Gael, and famously intercepted and leaked that confidential conference call between the FBI and Irish police.
That's audacious.
Extremely. Then you had U.S.-based guys involved in specific hacks like Cody Kretzinger and Ronaldo Rivera for the Sony Pictures breach, and Jeremy Hammond, Anarchaos, heavily involved in the later anti-sec phase, particularly the Stratfor hack.
So what made them so effective? It seems like this blend of skills.
That's exactly it. It was the synergy. You had the raw technical talent, Kayla, T-Flow doing the actual preaching. Then you had the charismatic propagandist, Sabu, Topiary spinning it, amplifying it, creating the narrative.
A small, focused team. Hierarchical, clear roles.
Right. Technical skill plus PR genius. That combination was their power.
Yeah.
But having those public-facing leaders, that also created their biggest vulnerability.
Let's talk about their philosophy then, because it started with Lulz, right? Just laughs.
Yeah, rooted in internet slang, Lulz security, laughing at your security. It wasn't about money. They didn't sell the data they stole, didn't use ransomware. That really set them apart from typical black hat groups.
So the goal was chaos, spectacle.
Pretty much. They literally said, we're not your enemy, we're your entertainment. Think about the Fox.com hack. The stated reason was retaliation for criticism of the rapper Common.
Which seems trivial for such a big breach.
Exactly. It underlines that initial just for the hell of it attitude, pure Lulz.
But as you said, it evolved. The targets, the justifications, they started getting more political.
They definitely did, especially as their fame exploded. The PBS hack wasn't random. It was explicitly retaliation for that WikiLeaks documentary they didn't like.
And the Sony attack was partly framed as pushback against Sony suing George Hotz, the hacker.
Right, so you start seeing this ideology emerge.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-censorship, freedom of information, defending hacker culture. They even started framing themselves as, like, gray hats.
Gray hats, meaning
Meaning they weren't purely malicious black hats, but maybe not purely ethical white hats either.
Yeah.
They claimed they were doing a public service by exposing vulnerabilities, forcing companies to get better, even though their methods were illegal.
which all led up to Operation Anti-Security, Anti-Sec, June 2011.
Yep, a formal partnership announced publicly with elements of Anonymous. This was the big shift, moving definitively from just entertainment hacking to a declared political campaign.
They released a manifesto.
They did. A call to arms for a cyber war against governments and corporations. Claimed they wanted to expose the racist and corrupt nature of military and law enforcement, protest internet censorship.
And the Arizona Department of Public Safety hack fits right into that, doesn't it?
Perfectly. Leaking all that sensitive data, explicitly protesting Arizona's immigration law, SB 1070, that was pure political activism under the anti-sec banner.
But there's a huge contradiction here, isn't there? Claiming to help security awareness, but then dumping sensitive personal data names, addresses, passwords of ordinary people.
Massive contradiction. And that recklessness drew huge criticism, not just from targets, but from other hackers too. Groups like Team Web Ninjas were furious about them hurting, quote, normal internet users.
So was the ideology genuine or more performative? A justification after the fact?
It's hard to say definitively, but it often felt like the cause came after the hack. Like they found a justification that fit the action, especially as they got bigger. The ideology became a powerful tool for branding, for recruitment, for shaping the narrative. Maybe as much a PR tool as a core belief.
Okay, let's talk about the campaign itself. The 50 days of LulzSec, May to June 2011. It was just relentless.
Relentless is the word. A whirlwind. High-profile attacks one after another, dominating the news. Different targets, different methods, SQL injection, DDoS, website defacements, and constant taunting on Twitter and Pastebin.
It was a blur. What were some of the biggest hits during those 50 days?
Well, we mentioned Fox.com early on, stealing X Factor contestant data. Then there was PBS with the fake Tupac story.
Right.
But the huge one, the one everyone remembers, was Sony Pictures Entertainment. Sonage, they called it.
Over 1 million customer accounts compromised. Names, emails, addresses, birth dates, passwords.
And the killer detail. LulzSec gleefully pointed out, Sony stored those passwords in unencrypted plaintext, just sitting there.
That's staggering. For a company like Sony.
It is a catastrophic security failure. And LulzSec made sure the entire world knew. That public shaming, that was the Sony effect beginning right there. It had forced a conversation about basic security hygiene that the industry desperately needed.
So it wasn't just about the breach. It was about exposing that fundamental flaw. What else? They went after the FBI, too.
Yep, InfraGard, an FBI affiliate, leaked their user database, defaced the site, and left that message. Let it flow, you stupid FBI bastards. Just pure audacity.
Didn't they hit the U.S. Senate?
Briefly, leaked some non-sensitive configuration files from a public server just to show they could, more symbolic. They also hit Bethesda Softworks, the game company.
Did they leak data there?
Interestingly, no. They claimed they stole user data weeks earlier but held back, just tweeting a taunt at Bethesda, please fix your junk, thanks. Almost playful in a menacing way.
And lots of gaming servers taken down, too. Minecraft, League of Legends.
Yeah, often DDoS attacks, supposedly done as fan requests, just flexing their muscles, causing disruption.
Look, the CIA.gov takedown. That feels different. June 15th. Taking the public CIA website offline for hours.
That sent shockwaves for sure. It was just a DDoS against the public-facing site, not a deep hack into CIA systems, but the symbolism was immense. LulzSec taking on the CIA, it was pure publicity gold for them.
And then the Arizona DPS hack, which we mentioned, protesting the immigration law, that felt very political.
Definitely part of the anti-sec phase. Leaking hundreds of classified documents, emails, explicitly political motive. They also hit Brazilian government sites around the same time.
And then June 25th, they announced their finale.
Yeah, the 50 Days of LulzSec statement. Claimed they were retiring, disbanding. But as a parting gift, they dumped a huge cache of data, internal info from AT&T, Disney, more Sony stuff, plus hundreds of thousands of usernames and passwords from other sources.
But they didn't quite disappear, did they? There was that one last hurrah.
Right, in July, they briefly popped back up to deface the Sun newspaper's website, redirected it to a fake story saying Rupert Murdoch had died, then to their Twitter feed.
Why the Sun?
Probably retaliation. The Sun had run stories about the arrest of a teenager named Ryan Cleary, who was linked to LulzSec, though not a core member. It seemed like payback for the coverage.
So June 26, 2011, they officially announced their disbanding after this insane 50-day run. But how did it actually end? How did the net close on them?
Surprisingly fast, actually. And the key thing is, it wasn't some brilliant technical counterhack that took them down.
No.
No, it was good old-fashioned police work combined with human error and, well, human intelligence, human take. LulzSec immediately became a top priority for the FBI, Scotland Yard, Irish authorities, major international effort.
And they made enemies within the hacking world, too.
Big time. Leaking ordinary users' data. That didn't sit well with everyone. You had vigilante hackers like the Jester, who saw himself as a patriot defending against them. Groups like Team POC and Team Web Ninjas were actively trying to dox LulzSec members find their real identities.
Did they have any success?
Some. Apparently, a hacker called Killer Cube actually managed to correctly identify Sabu as Hector Monsegur and tried to pass that info on. The pressure was coming from multiple angles.
But the critical mistake that came from Sabu himself.
Yep. The leader. Despite all his experience, his technical skill, he slipped up. A basic operational security, or OPSC, mistake.
What did he do?
He logged into an IRC server internet relay chat, their main communication channel, without using his anonymizing tools. No VPN, no Tor, just logged in directly.
Oh, wow. So his real IP address
It was right there in the server logs.
Ah.
Exposed. And the FBI got those logs. They traced that IP address straight back to his apartment in the projects in New York City.
Just one slip up.
One mistake. That's all it took. So June 7th, 2011, right in the middle of their 50-day campaign, ironically, FBI agents approached Monsegur at his building, arrested him.
But the arrest wasn't the end of the story for Sabu.
Not by a long shot. This is where it gets really interesting. The FBI had him. He was facing a huge indictment, 12 counts, potential sentence of 124 years.
124 years.
Plus, and this was the crucial leverage, the threat that if he went to prison, his two young cousins, who he was raising, they'd be taken into state care.
That's immense pressure.
Unbelievable pressure. So the very next day, June 8th, Monsegur flipped. He agreed to cooperate with the FBI, became an informant. He secretly pleaded guilty in August 2011.
So while LulzSec was still active, while LulzSec was still tweeting, Sabu was working for the FBI.
For 10 months, living this incredible double life. To the world, to his LulzSec comrades, he was still Sabu, the leader. But behind the scenes, he was feeding everything to the FBI.
What did his cooperation achieve?
It was huge. Gave the FBI a complete inside picture. Allowed them to identify, locate, build cases against the core members in the UK and Ireland, other associates.
And he prevented attacks, too.
Massively. The FBI credited him with helping prevent or mitigate over 300 planned cyberattacks. Against government agencies like NASA, the military, private companies, he was actively persuading hackers to call off attacks while seemingly leading them.
So the downfall wasn't technical, it was human. Identifying the key person, finding their vulnerability, applying pressure, turning them. Classic human.
Exactly. Human intelligence trumped technical prowess. Proved that the human element is often the weakest link, even in sophisticated cyber groups.
So Sabu cooperates. What happens next? The arrests.
Coordinated international arrests, March 2012. FBI, UK police, Irish Gardaí, all working together based on the intel Sabu provided.
And the charges were serious.
Very serious. Conspiracy to commit computer hacking, hacking for fraud, unauthorized access, aggravated identity theft, the works.
Let's talk outcomes. What happened to Sabu, Hector Monsegur? He faced 124 years.
But he got sentenced to time served. Basically, the 7 months he'd already spent in custody after his initial arrest before flipping, plus a year of supervised probation.
That's incredibly lenient.
It was, explicitly because of his truly extraordinary cooperation. The judge made a point of saying that. Since then, he's actually reemerged in the cybersecurity world.
Right.
Researcher, consultant, speaker, using his black hat experience for white hat defense.
Must be controversial.
Oh yeah, to many in the hacking community, he's forever the snitch who betrayed his crew. But he's built a career out of it.
What about topiary Jake Davis, the spokesman?
He pleaded guilty in the UK, got 24 months in a young offenders institution, but only served about 38 days. He already spent nearly 2 years on remand with very strict bail electronic tag, the works.
And post-LulzSec.
He's also done well. Security researcher, writer, speaker, consults for TV, helped with museum exhibits on cybercrime, seems to have landed on his feet.
Kayla, Ryan Ackroyd, the technical muscle.
He pleaded guilty to computer misuse charges in the UK, got one of the tougher sentences for the UK members, 30 months in prison.
What's he doing now?
He went back to education after prison, got a master's in information systems security, worked as a lecturer, and now he's reportedly a lead penetration tester using his skills legally.
Wow. And Tiflo. Mustafa Al-Bassem, he was only 16.
Treated as a juvenile,
Right.
pleaded guilty, got a 20-month suspended sentence, community service, and banned from the internet for 2 years.
And his trajectory since then?
Is astonishing. He got a PhD in computer science from University College London, Forbes 30 under 30 list, co-founded a blockchain scaling company called Celestia Labs. He's had incredible success.
Amazing. What about the others? Puntas, Palladium.
Martin Kinsas was indicted in the U.S. but sentenced back in the U.K. O'Serpale, Palladium, indicted in the U.S. for that FBI call leak, arrested in Ireland, but ultimately released without charge there, though the case could potentially be revisited.
And the U.S. associates, the Sony hackers.
Kressinger, Recursion, got a year and a day in federal prison, home detention, community service, and had to pay over $600,000 in restitution to Sony. Rivera, Neuron, got a similar sentence.
And Jeremy Hammond, Antisec and the Stratfor hack.
He got a much tougher sentence, 10 years in federal prison, one of the longest sentences connected to the whole saga.
Okay, so looking back, LulzSec, a brief, bright, chaotic explosion. 50 days that really did shake things up.
Fundamentally altered the landscape, showed the sheer power a small, skilled, media-savvy group could wield. The reputational damage they could inflict was immense, totally disproportionate to their size.
And the key lesson from their story, as you said, isn't technical.
Not at all. It's human. Their downfall was a failure of human security, operational security. The world's most notorious hackers taken down because the leader made one simple mistake and then buckled under basic human pressures, fear and concern for his family.
It really hammers home that the human element, it's always the wild card in security.
Always has been, probably always will be. The most sophisticated defenses can be bypassed by exploiting a person.
What about the lasting impact for us today? You mentioned the Sony effect.
Yeah, that's huge. LulzSec publicly shaming Sony over plaintext passwords, that was a wake-up call. It forced cybersecurity out of the IT basement and into the boardroom. CEOs, boards of directors, they had to start paying attention.
Spurred real investment in better security, basic hygiene.
Absolutely. You could argue LulzSec, ironically, helped immunize the internet against some of those really basic, stupid vulnerabilities because the embarrassment factor became so high.
And their impact on hacktivism.
They really blurred the lines between political protest and outright cybercrime. And they pioneered using social media, especially Twitter, as this real-time weapon for propaganda, for psychological warfare. That's a playbook still used by threat actors today.
But their downfall also sent a message, didn't it?
It did. It shattered the myth of perfect online anonymity, showed that even groups like LulzSec could be unmasked, brought down.
And for law enforcement.
It was a massive validation of using human intelligence, humanity, traditional investigation techniques, alongside technical skills. Yeah. Turning an insider. That became a proven model for dismantling sophisticated cybercrime groups.
So, wrapping this up, LulzSec's legacy is messy, chaotic, destructive, but undeniably impactful.
Absolutely. And thinking about that legacy and how central human psychology was to both their rise and their fall, makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Wonder what?
Well, how much of today's digital security, everything from, your own personal online habits, the passwords you use, up to massive global corporate defenses, how much of it is still fundamentally shaped by those very human vulnerabilities that LulzSec exploited so well and that ultimately brought them down?